Most people think time softens with age, that it gets quieter, more forgiving, maybe even gentle. But that's a lie we tell ourselves when we're afraid. Time doesn't whisper, it still roars. Just like it did when you were 20, 30, 40. The difference now is whether you are willing to hear it. Whether you've got the nerve to stare it in the eye and say, I'm not done yet. See, for most, 70 feels like a finish line. That number rolls in with retirement brochures, soft music, polite smiles, and this subtle pressure to shrink, to make yourself smaller. To go from being the main character in your life to an extra in someone else's. But here's the truth. 70 is not an ending, it's an ignition. A starting point for a chapter most people don't even believe is possible. Why? Because the world doesn't expect much from you anymore. That's the gift. The moment no one's looking is when the boldest move happens. The 5%. Those rare few. They don't just age, they defy gravity. They use time not as a chain, but as a sword. They've lived enough to know how fast it flies and how precious each second is. That's why they move with purpose, with intensity, with clarity. Time after 70 becomes something different. It becomes raw. Every moment gets stripped of fluff and filler. There's no room for pretending. No more dancing around dreams or saying a maybe next year. There might not be a next year. And oddly enough, that's the freedom, that urgency. It's not fear, it's power. It's 5%. They don't run from it. They light it up like a match to gasoline. You've got to understand there is a version of you right now who is more dangerous, more creative, more alive than ever before. Not in spite of your years, but because of them. Decades of experience, pain, laughter, lost love. It all forged you. You're sharper now, not duller. The only thing dulled is society's imagination of what someone at 70 can do. Prove them wrong. This is the point where most people start checking out, turning down the volume on their desires. Settling for routine and comfort, but the 5% crank it up. They ask harder questions. They chase forgotten dreams. They start painting again. They fall in love again. They take risks that make the rest of us sit back and wonder, how the hell are they still going? The answer, they never stop. Time doesn't care how old you are. It only asks one question. What are you going to do with me today? And if you're still breathing, the question is still yours to answer. The 5% don't waste it on regrets or what ifs. They show up. They live out loud. They bleed authenticity. They wear every wrinkle like a battle medal. And when they walk into a room, time doesn't take them. It respects them. So no, time doesn't quiet down at 70. Not if you're listening. Not if you've still got a fight left in you. It roars. And the bold ones, the rare ones, they roar back. There's something terrifyingly quiet about what happens to most people after a certain age. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of surrender. They begin to fade, not overnight, but inch by inch, year by year. They retreat from ambition, from risk, from noise, from the edges of life where things are still sharp. They step back into comfort, and from there it's a slow dissolve. Not because they're weak, but because the world told them that's what aging looks like. But there's another kind, a rare kind. The 5%, they don't go quietly. They don't age gracefully. They age brutally alive. Not with their fists, but with their will. With their art, their effort, their refusal to back down from their own becoming. They look at the creeping fog of invisibility and say, and not me, not now. To fade is easy. You just stop saying yes. You stop chasing what lights you up. You make comfort your king and shrink inside your own skin. The 5% do the opposite. They live by tension. They seek it out. They choose challenge over ease, movement over stillness, curiosity over routine. They scrap for new skills, new meaning, new identity. Even when the world says, oh, sit down, they stand taller. This fight, it's not dramatic. It's not loud. It happens in small, private, beautiful acts of rebellion. Signing up for a class, saying no to pity, starting over. Going to the gym when your joints ache, speaking your truth when it shakes the room. The 5% know the most radical thing they can do at this age isn't to survive. It's to thrive unapologetically. Fading is a mindset long before it's a reality. It starts with the belief that your best is behind you. That there's nothing left to prove. Nothing new to try, nothing worth shaking up. That's where most people give up, not on life, but on their aliveness. The 5% refuse that. They don't look backwards for meaning. They dig it up right now. In the mess of the moment, they make today count. Then they do it again tomorrow. The world romanticizes youth. But youth isn't in your face, it's in your fight. And the 5%? They've got more fight in them at 70 than most do at 30. Because they know what they're up against: time, gravity, doubt, expectation, and they still choose to rise every day. That's the fight. That's the flame that refuses to die. And make no mistake, fighting doesn't mean you're angry. It means you care about your story, your purpose, your voice. The 5% aren't at war with the world. They're just too damn alive to let it pass them by unnoticed. They wake up every morning and choose to keep becoming, even when no one's watching. Especially then. So while most people fade, drifting into the background like a forgotten photograph, the 5% carve their names into the present. Not with volume, but with vitality. They don't just exist. They told you the body breaks down with age, and maybe it does if you let it rot in routine. If you park it on a couch, wrap it in excuses, and treat it like a fragile thing. But the truth, the one only 5% figure out, is this: your body is still yours to command. Not a cage, not a burden. One forged in fire, scarred by time, but still sharp enough to carve out a future worth living. This isn't about pretending you're 20 again. That ship has sailed, and thank God for it. You're not trying to relive youth, you're trying to reclaim power. Kind that comes when you stretch your muscles and realize they still answer. When you feel your heart pounding, not in fear but in defiance. The 5% don't chase aesthetics. They chase function, movement, strength, vitality. They don't care about looking young. They care about feeling unstoppable. Every ache you've earned is a reminder. This machine has mileage, but it still runs. Maybe slower, maybe with a limp, but it runs. The 5% don't use pain as a reason to stop. They use it as information, as feedback, as challenge. They listen to their bodies, not to coddle them, but to push them further, smarter. Every rep, every step, every breath is a signal. I'm still here. I'm still dangerous. Because when you stop moving, you start dying. That's not poetry, that's biology. The body demands resistance to grow. Just like the soul, the 5% take walks that turn into hikes, stretching that turns into yoga, weights that turn into war. They lift to hold on to independence. They run to feel free. They train because strength at this age isn't vanity. It's a survival with swagger. Look around. Most people their age are told to slow down. Be careful, don't fall. The 5%, they're on the floor doing planks while everyone else is complaining about stairs. Not because it's easy, but because it's essential. When your body stays sharp, so does your mind. When your joints are mobile, your spirit moves too. Physicality isn't separate from the rest of you. It's the gateway to your fire. It's the reason warriors train every day. Because the body, when cultivated, becomes a weapon for clarity, for confidence, for action. And the 5% understand this. No one else is coming to save you. You save yourself by choosing strength over stillness. By making your body your ally, not your excuse. Not someday. Today. And let's not forget, movement isn't just about muscles. It's about reclaiming your place in the world, dancing at a wedding, climbing a mountain, carrying your grandchild. Opening a jar with one twist instead of calling for help. These aren't just tasks, they're triumphs. Every move you make reminds the world, and yourself, that you're not done yet. Not even close. So when someone looks at your age and expects softness, stillness, surrender, show them the opposite. Show them steel. Show them power. Show them that even now, especially now, your body is not a tomb. It's a weapon. There comes a time when you stop caring about filters, about softening your words to make others more comfortable. That time for the 5% hits around 70 like thunder. Because by then you've seen enough, lost enough, lived enough to understand the value of truth. Not the watered-down kind that keeps the peace, but the hard, shining kind that cracks silence wide open. And when the 5% speak, they don't ask for permission. They speak to be heard. They don't waste breath on pretense. The time for small talk is over. They've been quiet long enough, biting tongues in boardrooms, smoothing out edges to fit into someone else's mold. But not anymore. Now when they talk, it's with intent. They speak from scars, from joy. From failures that nearly broke them and wins no one saw. Their truth isn't theoretical. It's lived. And they carry it like a sword. What most people fear at 70, losing approval, ruffling feathers. The 5% embrace. They've outgrown the need to be liked. They want to be real. Because truth is currency, and at this point in life, it's the only kind worth spending. They'll call out hypocrisy in a heartbeat. They'll admit their mistakes without flinching. They'll say, "I love you," without worrying how it lands. And when they say a no, they mean it. They become mirrors. When the 5% speak, people listen, not because they're loud, but because they're clear. No fluff, no games, just raw, uncut perspective. The kind that makes people pause, reflect, maybe even shift. They challenge norms, break taboos, say what others are too afraid to say. They know that truth isn't always welcomed, but it's always needed. And here's the thing, this doesn't make them rude or bitter. Quite the opposite. Their truth comes wrapped in love, but it's fierce love. Honest love. The kind that tells you when you're wrong, but also tells you you're enough. The 5% aren't cruel. They're just done with pretending. They choose depth over politeness, substance over style, connection over conformity. They tell stories not to impress, but to liberate. They speak of losses and second chances, of regrets that became teachers, of moments they almost gave up, but didn't. Every truth they share becomes a torch in someone else's darkness. And they know that now more